You're listening to the Fitness Career Mastery Podcast with Barry Ennis, and this is episode 69. Let's do this. This is Fitness Career Mastery. It's everything that trainers, group fitness instructors, gym and studio owners need to know to develop their career in the fitness industry. Whether you're just starting out or looking to master your skills to achieve the best client experience, grow your business, and expand your reach. All those little secrets to success, they're right here. It can be one of the most frustrating things as a studio owner or as a fitness professional. You do everything you can to offer a good class, but when new people come into the gym or the studio, they only stay for a little while before they move on to something else. It's taxing on your business and on your spirit because the sign of growth and success in fitness is the ability to have a high retention rate, meaning clients and members that continually buy new packages or memberships, people that continually come back to your class. They want to belong to your community. Many studio owners go the wrong way with trying to offer special deals to entice people to buy again, and instructors resort to gimmicks to get people to come back to their classes. I've seen it over and over again. But today, you're going to learn how to skyrocket your retention rate without having to do any of that. And I think what's most fascinating about the conversation you're going to hear today with my guest is that we never once speak about membership or class prices. And that's because what keeps people coming back has nothing to do with money. It's emotional. It's how they feel about you as an instructor or how it feels to step into your studio. Get ready because today you're going to learn from the retention guru. My guest today has been working in the fitness industry for more than 2 decades. He currently divides his time between conducting comprehensive research in the area of retention and then delivering training courses that provide practical approaches for fitness professionals and business owners focusing on all areas of the customer experience. He has 2 master's degrees, one in exercise and health behaviors, and the second in social science research. He also has a PhD in health club member retention. He's literally a doctor of retention. His aim is to be the focal point for information and research on retention, attrition, loyalty, and customer behavior for the fitness industry, as well as provide forward-thinking advice and training to enable the fitness industry to measurably improve their customer experience, retention rates, and membership revenue. Please welcome Dr. Paul Bedford to the Fitness Career Mastery Podcast. Hi, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. How are you doing?
Barry, I'm fine, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
I'm looking forward to it too. I thought it was so funny that we just missed each other. You were telling me that story right before we got started here, that you were just at Space Cycle in China.
Yeah.
And here we are now speaking on the podcast. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Space is a lovely club. It's a really lovely club.
Yeah, it's funny you found out about me before I reached out to you, and I've been following you for a long time. I really admire what you're doing. I think my brain is primed towards science as well. I love that you've taken such an approach to breaking down how to retain members at health clubs. Now all over the world, you're speaking and presenting, and I loved your 10 factors affecting health club retention video, and you have the Retention Academy, teaching people all of this. It's amazing what you're doing. It just makes me want to ask, how did you get to this point? How did you become the retention guru?
Okay, so I've been in the fitness industry, health club business industry for 25 years, and I started actually working as a gym instructor stroke personal trainer. And over a period of time, worked my way up through a business, became the general manager, and then got involved in actually training trainers. So I spent 14 years training people how to be PTs and group
I can relate to that. Yeah.
I'm not the best group exercise teacher, so but I can work to the beat and phrase of the music. If you give me pop songs, I can't do it if it's very clever music. But,
yeah, that's not easy.
I got to a point where I couldn't understand. And I think this was even true when I was first in the industry. I couldn't understand why so many people came along full of motivation, full of enthusiasm and wanted to get going with exercise, and yet very quickly dropped out. So I had an opportunity to go and study for a master's degree in exercise and health behaviour, which had a huge psychological component to it. And so I went and studied that because I thought I've had this sort of mantra or saying that is, if you don't get their head, you don't get their body.
Oh,
so on
I love that.
If on a day like here, I'm in the UK today, and it's grey and it's dull and it's raining and it's cold, and there will be people
Sounds like
going,
Shanghai today.
yeah, I won't go to the gym today because of the weather outside.
Right.
And you think, well, what's that thought process? Because if their head says they're not going, their body's certainly not going to turn up.
Right.
And so that's why I started studying psychology, and I pursued that for a while, and ended up collecting 2 master's degrees and ended up doing a PhD.
Wow.
And I think my interest was always peaked around, if you look at a lot of the academic research, or certainly when I was studying initially, there was lots of research on exercise for health, so in clinical conditions, and there was lots of research around training and conditioning for sport, but there was very little research done on health club customers, health club members, and their behaviours. So while I think when I first started as an academic, I wanted to be an academic working in the university and lecturing because I enjoy that, I quickly found that actually there wasn't a career in that. And I actually like being in the health club business. So I took my academic knowledge and skills and then started applying them in fitness environments. So we use a very academic approach to our studies because we think that's the most appropriate way of doing things.
Right. And so it just happened through curiosity, and then over time it transitioned into really focusing in on helping out these health clubs.
Yeah. And the name Retention Guru came about because a friend of mine had a business called Weight Loss Guru, and I was sitting listening to him presenting. And at the time, my business was called Re-Aim, which was a nice name, but it didn't tell anybody anything. And I sat there and I thought, could I call a business Retention Guru and get away with it? And I pondered it for a while, and I thought, you know what? I'm up for a challenge. I like when people challenge or question me, and I'm the concept of guru is just someone who's further down a path than someone else. So someone who's trying to help other people achieve higher levels.
I love it. I think it's such a
and so I named it. And what I found out afterwards was that actually in almost every language, it's instantly translatable.
Yeah.
And so people, and all within the name, people go, okay, I know what you do. So
absolutely.
I don't tend to walk around calling myself the Retention Guru. My business is called Retention Guru. Other people will call me that, but I don't have a shirt that says I'm the Retention Guru.
Well, with the amount of research that you've done, and I haven't seen anyone else in this space doing what you do, I think you can call yourself the Retention Guru.
Well, I'll let other people do that.
All right.
So I'll just get on with my work.
I'll help you out with that.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously this is heavily psychological, understanding the psychology of the members, of the clients that are coming in. And I feel like I'm going to kind of cannonball into the deep end with this question. It's kind of a loaded question, but what is it that we have to understand about our clients, about our members that are coming in to our health clubs, into our gyms, into our studios? So what do we have to understand about their psychology in order to increase our retention numbers?
Okay. So I think the first thing I would raise with a lot of operators and instructors, coaches, teachers, is for new people coming in, we're actually managing their anxieties.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot less to do with the actual program. Programs are important. Teachers, the quality of teaching is important. But someone new walking into a facility, they're going to be full of anxiety. There's a psychological theory called self-protection theory, which means we avoid situations that make us look out of control, ugly, or embarrass us.
Sure.
And
that can absolutely be a fitness class.
Oh yeah, and it's why the sort of the newbie, if we call them that, sort of gravitates towards the back of the studio because they don't want to embarrass themselves. And their perceptions, if you talk to them, is often, well, everybody already knows what they're doing. I'm going to make myself look foolish.
Yeah.
And it can get to a level psychologically where people are so uncomfortable, they go, do you know what? I'd rather be unhappy at home with the TV and with snacks than unhappy, embarrassed in front of other people.
Wow.
So it's an easier option, they bail really early. So I think, what I say to a lot of operators is, let's think about how do we make people feel comfortable, confident, and build up their self-esteem in the early stages so they feel like they look good. And by look good, I don't mean the aesthetics look good. I mean, they look like they're part of something that they can join in. So no matter what their body shape, oh, you look like an exerciser. You're one of us.
Wow. Yeah. Have you discovered through your research some specific techniques that work the best? Some practices?
Yeah. If you draw that, one of the another psychological principle is called self-efficacy theory, which is your belief in your ability to be successful, and that's independent from your self-confidence. So if you went in, and it's a bit of an old-fashioned example, but I think it works. If you went into something like a step class, and before you go in, you don't know whether you can do it or not. But very quickly, you realize that actually just stepping up and down off a box can be quite a challenge when it's set to music and you're constantly turning or moving across the box.
And what's left, what's right, it all goes out the window.
And also, and if the group gets turned around and you get off beat, you can be the person facing everybody, like the wrong, everybody's now facing you doing the routine.
That's so true. Yeah.
And you're like, So a lot of what we need to do is just build basic skills and give people that confidence, give them things they can do that they can be successful at, and then comment on them being successful. So if we look at, the sort of the group exercise side of the industry, and sometimes the PT industry relies really heavily on what's perceived to be motivational talk. Woo, well done. Yeah, do more. Congratulations. That actually does nothing psychologically to people.
Interesting.
If you want to get people to change their behavior, your comments need to be on their skill progression, the effort they're putting in, and that's specific. It's not, well done, everybody, great work. You actually have to be, I watched you do those squats. You did a really great job. I can see you're training hard.
Wow.
Because that actually resonates with the individual. Mm-hmm. So we have to be mindful of how we give our feedback. And I think, it's easy when you've been in the industry for a long time and been around Group X to forget how hard it can be to actually walk into a studio for the first time.
Absolutely. When you're up in front of those people every day or multiple times a day, you just kind of fall into a pattern mentally of what you're doing.
Yeah. And, and as instructors often, or Group X teach, we, sort of walk into the studio and switch on. So we can be having a rubbish day and then we're on for the performance. But actually, sometimes we don't realize that actually being so full on can actually be intimidating. And so we need to be able to modulate that enthusiasm to welcome people to the class, but not be so over enthusiastic that they're actually intimidated.
Is there a difference between what people need to hear when they're first joining, when they're first coming in for a class versus people that have been coming for a while? Have you?
Yeah, I think we would certainly be focusing, when we're working with operators and from the interviews we've conducted, and we've done enough of those, when people are coming in for the first time, it's really about getting them to recognize that routine, not the routine, but the routine of coming in to the club is really important, and to stick with it. So, we use examples like learning to play the piano. We say, if you were trying to learn to play the piano today, you wouldn't learn it all and be fluent in one lesson. You'd have to build your skills up. And it's the same in the group exercising, just generally in the exercise environment. And so we really want to be praising them on their effort, on their a persistence to be involved. So rather than necessarily goal focusing around how much weight have you lost or how much fitter have you got, actually, if we focus much more on, well done, you've become a regular exerciser, it actually helps with the shift in their identity. And once their identity shifts into, I'm an exerciser, even when they don't come, they think of themselves as an exerciser. And what we want to do is we want to get that shift. So that's what we would do with the new exercisers. The more experienced exercisers, they just want recognition for the fact they're working hard, they're there every day, and you know them. It's like I describe it as I worked in the nightclub industry for a long time and was running nightclubs. And I used to stand at the door with all the security. And our regulars, I'd shake hands with them and use their name. And that would give them so much kudos amongst their friends and their colleagues who were coming out with them. It was like, you know the guy that runs the club, you know the right guy. That was more important to the regulars than actually
the experience that they had at the club.
Yeah.
That's
and we
remarkable.
can do the same. We can do the same in the studio, because your regulars, while they want to show everybody else who's not a regular that they know you, they'll also be the ones that will be patient to wait for your time. So if I walked into your class and you were teaching and we knew each other really well, I go, hi, Barry, and I'd probably want to start a conversation. But if you said to me, Paul, hang on a second, I just need to speak to this new person, I'd be much more willing to give you that time, because I actually feel like now I'm doing you a favor because I'm giving you that time. So there is a different relationship.
Interesting. All of this is reminding me of another episode I have, number 35, for those listening. It's with Jared Stein. The whole episode is about why you should coach for effort versus anything else. And I loved that conversation with him. And it's great to hear you echoing the same thing now, because it's not necessarily about how much weight you can lift or how many calories you burn. It's about the effort that you're putting into the practice.
Yeah. And someone who's got self-confidence, they don't mind. Like for me, I go and do yoga, and my sister as a yoga teacher says, oh, you do dead dog yoga because you look like a dead dog while you're doing it. So I don't have beautiful technique. I can't hold wonderful poses, but I actually enjoy being there. But I have enough self-confidence to be in a room full of people who have wonderfully shaped bodies, what absolute magnificent technique. And I'm at the back looking like some rabid dog struggling to stand up.
Not down dog, but rabid dog.
Yeah, my down dog, well, that's where she got her dead dog yoga. She watched my down dog and went, what's that? And I went, it's down dog. And she went, never in a million years.
No.
She goes, I can see your feet and your hands are in contact with the floor. I can see you're hitching from the hips. But that's about it. And I'm like, okay. But I don't care, because I actually still get the benefit of it. And I don't mind being around experienced exercises, because I can shrug it off and go, I know I'm not good at this. Whereas someone coming in new is going to feel incredibly awkward.
Right.
When someone, hits warrior pose and they can't hit warrior pose comfortably, or it takes them longer to get into the position than everybody holds the position for.
Right. So you visited Space Cycle recently.
Yeah.
You saw how massive those classrooms were in the cycling room. There's 58 bikes in the multi-purpose rooms. They can fit 40 people in a class sometimes. And there's a lot of studios out there where they have that many people in front of them. Do you have any suggestions for those instructors out there, how to have that impact and personal relationship with that many people? Is it just a matter of doing it slowly over time to recognize people's effort that they're putting in?
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, I think the things we've done in our own clubs, and we've worked with other operators to do, particularly around the group exercise environment. If you've got a volume of people, it can be really difficult to almost make a personal contact, and it becomes really easy to talk to those people that you know. But things that we started to suggest quite a while ago, which you see actually more commonly now within boutique studios, is the group exercise teacher standing by the door when people coming in and greeting them on their way in. Just so they've met them. If they greet somebody that they don't know, just making a comment, look, if I look directly at you, listen to what I'm saying, because I'm saying that for you, but I won't say your name or point you out. So if we make eye contact and I say, look, you need to straighten out your arms, that way the person can feel like they're being individually coached in a group of 50.
Just use your eye contact and energy. I see.
Yeah. And then on the way up, once the class is finished, get back to the door and thank people for coming.
Right.
We use a simple technique. We know that visits increase retention. So visit frequency is really, really important.
I remember you talking about that in one of your videos. Yeah.
So one of the techniques we say with group exercise, instructors is if you're leading the class and you've done your cool down, but you're all still sitting on the bike, the instructor has to raise their hand to cue the rest of the group. And it's easier in group exercise to do this. Hold your hand up, at least level your head and say, put your hand up if you're joining me again next week for this class. Or if you're teaching another class. And then all the people who put their hands up are making a public commitment to turn up. All the people who don't put their hands up because they're not sure usually come up to you at the end and go, oh, I'm sorry I didn't put my hand up. I'm traveling next week, or I know I can't, but I'll be in the week after. But getting them to make that
public commitment
themselves is really, really important.
Wow. It reminds me of, I can't remember what exactly it is, but people tend, it's a psychological study that people tend to believe something more if they say it themselves.
Yeah.
And to implement that practice, just that tip alone. Wow, that's such a powerful nugget you gave us right there. I love that.
And it's really simple. We've been trying it and doing it for years, and the customers like it because they actually I'm committing to this.
Yeah, and they have something to look forward to almost.
They do indeed.
Right.
So, greet them on the way in, make eye contact with them, and tell them, when I make eye contact with you, listen to what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying is possibly directly for you. That's when you give your teaching tips, your coaching points. Sometimes it's when you give recognition. I can see you're working really hard today. Now, it might sound to everybody else that I'm saying it to the whole group, but actually the person I'm making eye contact with feels that I'm making that comment to them. And then say goodbye on the way out. Get by the door on the way out. Thank them for coming. See you again next week. You got any questions? Ask me questions.
I love these tips because they're so easy to implement into what we already do as instructors. I've got another question for you. We're talking a lot about what group exercise instructors can do to form that stronger relationship, reduce anxiety with the people that are coming in. But we know that the instructors are often not the first person that people see when they're coming in. It's the front desk staff. So for the studio owners that are listening to this, what can they do to help train their staff better to reduce anxiety for those that are coming in?
Okay, so when I'm with front of house staff and I'm talking to them and we're doing trainings, and I say to them, how many of you can look at someone who walks through the door and instantly recognize that they've not been in before? They say if they're experienced front of house, they go, yeah, you can see the person who knows where they're going and what they're doing and the ones that don't. I say, okay, so what's your behavior for the ones that don't? And often they'll just pause and go, oh, we'll wait for them to ask us a question. And I'll go, okay, so let's up the game. As soon as someone makes eye contact with you when they come in, say hello. Be the first person to say hello. If you do the hello, welcome to our club, or whatever your welcome is, complete that. Then just ask them, have you been here before? If you don't recognize them, say, have you visited Space before? Have you visited Equinox before?
Sure.
Because actually the answer is really useful. Because if they say, I was in last week, you go, oh, well, it's good to see you back. And if they say, no, I've not been in before, they go, okay, well, let me help you understand what we've got or understand what you're looking for. So it doesn't matter what the answer to the question is. You then have a secondary question to follow up. So I took that idea from, there's a restaurant chain here in the UK called Nando's, and I think there are a few in China. But they have a quite a unique way of delivering their service. And that is, you come in, they take you to a seat, they seat you at a table, they give you a menu, but then you have to go up and order your food. Now, if you don't understand that process, because they seat you at the table, you assume it's table service.
Sure.
And you can sit there for hours waiting for someone to come and take your order, but they never will. So when you walk into a Nando's, the first thing they say, welcome to Nando's. Have you ever been to a Nando's before? If you say yes, they say, well, then you'll understand. We'll show you to the table. You can make your order, but then you'll need to go and order it at the counter. And you go, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Right.
And if you say, no, I've never been to a Nando's before, they go, oh, okay, then what you need to know is we'll show you to a table. You decide from the menu what you want to order, and then you go to the counter and order and pay for it. So they almost tell you the same thing no matter what your answer is. But if you've never been, they make it feel like they're actually taking time and effort to make you acquainted with their processes. And so I think front of house staff have a really powerful impact in terms of reducing some of that anxiety, giving people instruction. So if I think, it's easy for me and you to converse about space because I've been there and, you work there. But if I come into that environment, reception's on the left-hand side. If I say to someone, oh, I've come for a spin class or I've come to do a class, and let's say it's pre-booked, and I said, where do I get changed? If they just point, oh, it's back round the corner, my anxiety levels don't go down. In fact, my anxiety levels will go up.
Let's go up, yeah.
Right, so I now have to find it for myself. Whereas if they were to say, okay, as you walk around the corner, the locker rooms are on the right-hand side. You'll see a sign on the right-hand side. Men's and women's are fairly close together. Go in there. Now, if they need a padlock, you say to them, have you got your padlock? If you haven't, we've got one for you. So you have to think through all of the issues that someone might have as they walk in.
Where they might get stuck, yeah.
Where they might get stuck. Then on the way out, you want to be saying to them, how was your class today? When are you in next? Because you want to prompt that. Now, what we've seen is that, particularly for studio exercises, on the way in, they don't usually want to have a lot of conversation because they're usually cutting it fine, either for changing and then getting in the class or just getting in the class. On the way out, they're much more likely to dwell because they want to talk about the experience they've had, share that with other people in the group, or even share that with a member of staff. So on the way out, asking them, how was your class today? Gives them an opportunity to reinforce to themselves by talking to us that they had a really enjoyable time. And we want them hearing themselves saying what a great time they had, because their unconscious will just reinforce that for them, going, yeah, you're right. This is the right place to be. I did have a great class today. And so when you become top of mind for the next class, they're looking forward for that activity.
Fascinating. Again, just such simple things.
Mm.
While you were mentioning breaking down the process of where people might get stuck, reminded me, I was talking to someone in the hospitality industry, and they said at many hotels, if you're a staff member and someone asks you a question, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you immediately drop that and walk that person all the way to the place that they were asking about. Yeah. And I think there's a lot that the fitness industry can take from the hospitality industry in that way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we did a study where we looked at, we interviewed customers about the value they get from different members of staff, so, and if we did a scale of 0 to 10, so we said, please rank how important to you someone on front desk is, how important to you the group exercise teacher is, and so on. And whether they interact with you. And what we found was, when we first ran the study, out of 10, they'd score front of house 7 out of 10. if they got spoken to by front of house. If they got spoken to by the GX instructor, they rank that as a 9 or 10 out of 10. Because actually, when we investigated it, the reason they ranked it so much higher was, well, actually, I came to do Barry's class, and if Barry spoke to me, I felt special and important.
I see.
Now, that meant that when we were telling this to a lot of front of house staff, their heads dropped, their shoulders dropped. Oh, so we're not important then? And I said, no, you are important, but it's a little bit like going to a film premiere. And if the security guard at the door says hello to you, that's okay. But if the film star says hello to you, you feel pumped.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was, if you talk to the customers, if they have a problem that front of house can solve, that goes up to a 10.
Right.
So what they value is the ability of the person to deliver a service to them. So let's say they turned up, and I'm going to use one that's not applicable to me, but let's say they turned up, they've got long hair, they've gone through their bag, there's no hair tie. There's no way of tying their hair back up, and they're going to do a spin class.
Happens all the time.
House, don't worry about that. I've got a hair tie you can have. Suddenly, that interaction's worth a 10. It's worth as much as talking to the instructor.
Wow.
So what we have to do in terms of the way we think about what front of house do is things that are really simple to automate, we should automate. So it gives our front of house team more time to solve problems when they come up.
Because it's the problem solving that people have a response to.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So we've now talked about a number of things that both instructors and front of house staff can do to positively impact someone's experience that they have coming in. Based on your research, have you discovered that are things that a lot of studio owners or instructors might overlook that are particularly detrimental to the experience of someone coming in that they might not necessarily be aware of coming from a psychological perspective?
Well, I think these are practical things, but they have a psychological impact. So
right.
That concept of a hair tie that I just mentioned, I went to a spinning studio in London. Those people have seen my picture will know I have a shaved head. I'm standing by the welcome desk. I look down, there's a small post on the welcome desk, and it has hair ties and scrunchies all around it. And I look at it and I start smiling straight away. And I said, how much are they? And they went, oh no, they're free. And what I could see straight away was they recognized they had a lot of customers who turn up, forget their hair tie, and then think about they have to go to a class. And all they did was they go, no, have that on us. So a lot of things that cause issues, like turning up without a padlock if you need a padlock, not having even a plastic bag perhaps to put smelly, dirty kit in, those sort of things, thinking through the problems or the issues that customers might have and showing that you've thought of it creates a huge amount of loyalty in customers. And it actually promotes, wow, these guys are really professional. They've thought about this situation. Mm-hmm. So I worked with Marriott Hotels in Europe for quite a while. And one of the things they tried was they had spare sneakers in various sizes, the most popular sizes, behind their welcome desk. So when people turned up without them, they said, well, we've got a pair. They're not the most expensive pair, but if you want these, why don't you use these ones?
Wow.
And yeah. Now, if you think about in a lot of studios, we've got the shoes for cycling, but you don't have to have 40 pairs of running shoes, but to just be able to go, I've got a pair here. They're in a 49 or they're in a whatever sizes you're using, and they're decent enough to do a workout in, but not so expensive that someone wants to steal them. People are blown away by that. Few people will, raise their eyebrows and go, I'm not wearing someone else's. But,
a 49, how big is your foot?
I'm big. But just thinking through those things, giving people information. on your website, when you come, the best place to park is parking costs this. Be aware that at peak times, it can take you 25 minutes to find a parking space.
Wow. That's really detailed, going into the process step by step before they even arrive. But it makes so much sense. I actually went to a studio recently here in Shanghai. I was so impressed. They had a whole cell phone charging station. It wasn't just a plug behind the front desk, but it was like a designated area where they had enough cords for an entire class worth of people. And I thought that was so smart, because it's a great time for people to charge their phones while they're in class. And it also encouraged people not to bring their cell phone into the classroom. So it accomplished two things at once. I thought that in particular was pretty brilliant.
Yeah. I saw something that I liked from a social media perspective recently. A club that I visited had a GoPro on time-lapse photography. So I was taking a picture, I think 1 or 2 every minute, but it was positioned just outside the studio. And what they would do is they would take the pictures and stick them up on social media and say, are you in this picture? So they were posting pictures of their class attendees, but without even necessarily knowing the class attendees' names, sticking them up on their Facebook and go, are you in this picture? Look who was in this class today. And what you found was people were coming online and listing who was in the picture, but then they would also start to put their comments about the class and how much they'd enjoyed it.
Wow.
So it was like almost this real-time proof of concept, social proof. Look, there are people in this class, they're enjoying this class, without actually the camera being in the class. It was just out in the hallway. And it wasn't that people didn't know it was there. They knew it was there. And obviously not every picture was great, and a few were posed. There were a few people standing there for a minute waiting to get their picture taken. But just as a way of showing people, look, this is a place where people come. Because if you visit clubs at an off-peak time, it can be very difficult to get a sense of what it's like when it's busy. So being able to tell people what it's like when it's busy, or show them what it's like when it's busy, again, another way of reducing anxiety, for making them feel more comfortable and confident.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So what would you say is the most common reason that clients don't renew their membership or class package? Is it as simple as these things that we've been talking about aren't happening in the experience that they're having, or is there more to it than that?
There's a combination of things. I think the first one, and it's one we look at all the time, it's like our staple piece of information. We look at visit frequency. How frequently are they visiting? We know from our research, we started doing this in 2002, but we know that generally if someone visits at least once per week, they tend to stay. As soon as their visit frequency starts to drop below once a week or 4 times a month, the chances of them quitting escalate quite quickly. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of the software systems that are available don't actually track what the visit behavior is of the customer. Yet that's our currency. If they don't visit, we haven't got in a class. Right. So we track visit frequency. Now, what we've seen is, and when we've interviewed people, is when their visit frequency starts to drop off, they're still visiting, but not as frequently. They start, rather than blaming themselves for not coming, they start looking for issues with the club to blame the club.
It's too far away. It's hard to park. It's too expensive.
Yeah. Or I went in locker rooms and I couldn't get a locker, or I went to have a shower and there was a hair around the outlet, and I came back the following week and the hair was still there. It's not the same. It just all looked the same. But they look for reasons to blame the club for cancelling, as opposed to, actually, I'm not sticking with this. I'm finding it a much bigger challenge than I thought I would. Mm-hmm. So that's primarily the reason. I think the other thing is, or again, when we're interviewing people, when they come in, what they say as their goal is usually something they're comfortable or safe saying. So the fairly typical, what do you want from exercise? Lose weight, tone up, get fit. Now, anyone who's a fitness professional can give someone an exercise program that will achieve those things.
Right.
But actually, that's not the motivator or driver of the behavior. That's an outcome that they can measure. The driver of the behavior is usually something more abstract. So if you say to someone, why are you exercising today? Oh, I want to lose weight. We do a lot of work with our PTs, and we're saying to the PTs, we're saying, oh, really? And what will that do for you? And you get a pause, and you get eyes rolling skyward or back inside the skull. As the person goes, actually, why do I want to lose weight? And then, well, I'll feel more confident. Mm-hmm. So confidence might be the driver, building confidence as opposed to losing weight. But when we hang the result of them being successful on them losing weight, we know there's loads of people who come and train for years and never change their body shape. They enjoy exercise. They get an internal fulfillment from exercise, but actually it didn't change their weight. So what is it that it gave them? Maybe it's these abstract concepts.
Right.
So I use an example in some of my presentations where I've got a big slide and it just says, no one wants a gym membership. What people want is the results of a gym membership.
Right.
Because, we know that the vast population, if you could say to them, read this book and weight would fall off you, or eat this pill and weight would fall off you, they would rather do that than exercise.
Sure.
So it's the result they want, the outcome, but it's what that outcome does for them.
So how do you begin to address the result as a studio owner? Or what do you do when you notice the frequency of their visits starts dropping off to less than once per week?
I would start getting in touch with them. I'd genuinely start getting in touch with them. I might start that with some sort of digital communication. I would never, and I'll really stress this, never ring them up and say, oh, we can see you're not coming in very often. Because all they'll do is justify it. And while they're justifying it to the owner, they're also justifying it to themselves.
Right. So what kind of questions?
Okay, so we always say to people, like, just do a courtesy call. Ring them if you're going to call or you're going to message them. Say, hi, it's Paul. I'm just ringing up to see how you're getting on. So they haven't been in. They know they haven't been in, but you don't talk about it. It's the elephant in the room.
Right.
If they then mention it, they go, oh, I was doing really well, but it sort of dropped off. Really? Oh, how come? So you don't ask them why. And then this is a language thing, because if you ask someone a why question, they give you a justification. And if they give you a justification, they have to they have to almost believe that themselves.
Right.
So we ask them, how come? How come you've not been coming in then? And they go, oh, well, work's been busy. Well, when could I expect to see you next? So if it comes out of the mouth of the customer, we can jump on it. But we don't. I'm always encouraging people to say, don't ask them why they haven't been in. Don't tell them it's a low user call. Just say, we're ringing up. It's our courtesy call. We do it to all our customers. Today it's your turn. We want to know how you're getting on. What do you like? I'd certainly ask them questions around why they originally started, what they're getting from the club, maybe what their challenges are, and then how can we help them?
And that's a means to get them to remember the results of what they'll get from coming in.
Yeah.
I see. That's really interesting. So psychological.
It's all psychological.
Yeah. So how would you say we can change our behavior as business owners, as owners of studios, in how we approach sales and retention, and just in general, kind of wrapping up the whole concept here?
Yeah. Okay. So
it's again, obviously it's understanding the psychology of the people that are coming in. I know from interviewing other people on the show, the entire sales process, the retention process is psychological. Is there like another mantra or something that we can keep in mind?
I'd probably describe it this way. And I think it's one of the things where a lot of operators really struggle. It's easy for me to walk into somewhere like Space, look at Space and go, I could do this. I need a counter, I need a shop area, I need some studios, I need some bikes. I can paint it the same colours. And what I think as an external person coming in is that the space, excuse the pun, the space and the equipment are the product. They're not. The experience is the product.
Oh, I love that you said that. I just had that exact conversation. For those listening, go listen to episode 61. The experience is the product. We talk about how we use the analogy of a shoe or a shoe store. To relate it to fitness, people will spend a lot of money on the shelves, on the design of the shoe box, on the brand, on the logo, and not have any shoe in the shoe store. And to relate it to fitness, it's not the amenities, it's not the design of the physical space, it's the experience that people are having in there. So I 100% agree with that.
And I think that's where, because a lot of operators, particularly of studios and PT studios, are from the fitness side. They think it's, what equipment have I got? What does my club look like?
Right.
Have I got the latest in BOSU or surge pipes or things like that? And while it's important to have those to create a nice aesthetic environment, the experience is the product.
Absolutely. And I know, I guess SoulCycle is a good example. When they first started, they just like a tiny little space in the back corner in New York. And because of the experience that they're providing, they grew into what they are today.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of brands emerging right now. They feel like they have to have that level right out the gate and forget the focus on the experience.
Well, and I think what you get is you get a lot of people go into somewhere like SoulCycle and they go, white walls, yellow and black, retail area, studio, we can do this.
Right.
And they copy what they can see,
what the
customer feels is what the customer wants to experience.
Brilliant. Paul, this has been such an incredible and enjoyable conversation so far. As a last question, do you have any tips to share with us about the sales process?
I think when people come into exercise, it's not, if they're only coming in to do a class, that's not a good time to challenge them with, do you want to buy? Mm-hmm. A really good time to ask them when they want to buy is actually when they're buying something, even if it's only a bottle of water. Your mental state when you're buying is you're actually looking to buy things and you're happy to open your wallet or your purse or get your phone out and tap away and start buying. Now, some companies have learned this, or a lot of big retail companies have learned this. And if you go to somewhere like an IKEA, big furniture stores, very difficult to navigate and understand where you are. But every now and again, they have baskets of things that are really inexpensive. They're like $1 or $2. Now, they are designed to get you from a browsing state to a buying state. So as you're walking around, you think, I'm just going to go and look at some sofas. I'm going to look at some furniture for my apartment. And you start wandering around. You're not in a buying state. As soon as you see a set of coat hangers, 5 for $1, and you think, oh, that's a deal, I'll buy them. As soon as your mindset changes into, I'm actually now willing to open my wallet and spend money. And that's a really good time to then start, so if you're a salesperson, to go, so which sort of sofas were you looking at, sir? What sort of furniture did you want? Because we've shifted. So actually doing upsells is probably best at the counter when people are buying things. Asking them about their memberships. If someone says, I want a bottle of water, you go, and it's quiet enough to do it, you say, oh yeah, how are you getting on? Where are you in your membership? Would you be interested in renewing now? We're doing something this month where if you renew now, you get 2 extra classes, a t-shirt, or so actually tackle the selling when they're buying, as opposed to walking up to them and trying to get them to start thinking about buying when actually they turned up to do something else.
That's a great tip. I just love the psychology behind all of this. So I appreciate you taking the time to share all of this with us. For those that are interested in learning more, how can they best get in touch with you and follow up on what it is that you're doing right now?
Okay, simplest way is we have a website just called retentionguru.com. There's blogs on there, there's some videos on there, and there's articles as well. If anyone wants to follow me, depending on where they are, we're obviously Retention Gurus on LinkedIn, and it's on Twitter, and it's on Facebook. We don't tend to do Instagram. I'm more psychological, so there's very difficult to do pictures of thoughts.
Sure.
So we're on there, but every day, Monday to Friday, we do what we call lunchtime lessons on LinkedIn and Twitter. We've just started doing them on Facebook. They go out, about 11,000 people view those every day. And we just give a thought. It's almost like a thought for the day, or we release a piece of research, and they're usually 1 or 2 sentences. So it'd be website, lunchtime lessons, or hashtag lunchtime lessons. And then if you travel, then I'll be speaking at IHRSA this year again. I think I've got a couple of trips to China later in the year. Someone's just asked me to go to Australia. So
wonderful.
But we post all of that through the website. So if people are in different countries but they're traveling, they can always look up and see if I'm going to be there. And if anyone's at a conference and they want to ask me a question, just come and ask, because I travel so much I have no friends. So
you appreciate people coming up.
Yeah, I really appreciate the conversation.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I will put all of that information in the show notes of this episode for those listening. You can find all that information there. But Paul, thank you so much again for your time. I think what you taught today, so many people need to hear.
You're welcome. Take care.
To view a full summary of all the topics discussed in this episode today, as well as all the ways you can get in touch with Dr. Bedford, make sure you go to fitnesscareermastery.com/episode 69. And for all my indoor cycling studios and instructors out there, you know how when you start getting really sweaty in class and your handlebars get wet, how dangerous and distracting it can be. Normal towels are hard to balance on the handlebars and usually wind up on the floor, often in your neighbor's pool of sweat. Normal gym towels wind up being super rough on your face after so many uses. And that's why I want to introduce you to my friends at Spin Towel. They've created an innovative new product that solves all of these problems. It's a 2-piece towel set that fits snugly over your handlebars, each one customized for whether you're using a Schwinn, a Stages, or a Peloton bike. It's made of a really soft terry cloth that easily absorbs all of your sweat, keeping you, your bike, and the skin on your face in great condition. It comes in a ton of awesome colors that can match your brand, and the best thing is that as a Fitness Career Mastery listener, you can receive a 10% discount by using my name Barry at checkout. That's BARRY. And if you're a studio owner, reach out to Spin Towel today and mention Fitness Career Mastery for some wholesale opportunities. Go to spintowel.com right now to check it out. And as an awesome listener of the podcast, I want to invite you to join FitTerra. FitTerra is a website that I've been developing for the last 2 years. As an international fitness consultant, I've become acutely aware of how many incredible unknown opportunities are out there just waiting for talented instructors like yourself interested in growing in their careers. Fitness is spreading throughout the world, and more amazing studios are popping up in new markets like Hong Kong, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Thailand, Singapore, Australia, or New Zealand. They're looking for people like you to come teach workshops, or even relocate for a time. So if you feel stuck in what you're doing right now and want to have a life where you can see the world, do what you love, and positively influence the lives of people all over the globe, go to fitterra.com today to sign up for free. That's FITTERRA. I'll see you on there. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you in next week's episode.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Career Mastery Podcast. If you found value in this episode, please share it with someone you know so we can continue to elevate the levels of the fitness industry together.